with the United States. We start with our top story of the day, and Australian officials have said the 24-year-old Bondi shooting suspect, Naveed Akram, the younger of the two alleged gunmen, had previously come to the attention of authorities but was not deemed a threat. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said that Akram was examined on the basis of being associated with others, but there was no indication of any ongoing threat of him engaging in violence. The head of the country's intelligence service, Australian Security Intelligence Organisation, had also earlier confirmed the man was previously on the agency's radar. Meanwhile, world leaders continue to pay their respects to the victims of the shooting. Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said on a post on X that he has spoken to his Australian counterpart, Penny Wong, and conveyed India's condolences while offering fullest support. Further, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, has confirmed that the United States is providing Australia with the requested assistance. Meanwhile, the president of the New South Wales Jewish Board of Deputies has condemned the incident as a massacre. Let's take a listen into the statement in full.
It was a massacre, a pogrom, here in our city, here at one of our most cherished landmarks, Bondi Beach. 16 precious lives taken for no reason, dozens hospitalised, children mowed down by gunfire, fathers and mothers being felled by bullets, the elderly having to take shelter behind trees, lives shattered irrevocably in a single moment, young children who from this point forward will never have a father, parents who have lost their beloved 10-year-old daughter. This is the moment we've arrived at. This isn't something we should ever have seen in Australia.
Well, Australia starts mourning today as flags fly at half-mast following yesterday's attack on the famous Bondi Beach after 15 people, including a 10-year-old girl, were killed during a Jewish event marking the first day of the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. The two suspects have been identified by police, a father and son. The father was deceased at the scene, however the son remains in custody. Police have said that the 24-year-old suspect, the son, remains in hospital. Erin Watson joins us now. She is the CEO of Baker & York. She joins us live from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you very much, Erin, for joining us here on the programme. Erin, of course, Australia wakes up mourning today, flags flying at half-mast. What more can you tell us about the general mood in the country following this attack? This, of course, comes just days after Australia was ranked the second safest country in the entire world. What's the feeling in Melbourne right now?
Yes, I mean, we live in Melbourne, so we are in a very different city to Sydney, but at the same time, I think that everybody here feels just as sad as people do up in Sydney and all around Australia as well. It's a reminder that despite how safe things are, despite our world-leading gun laws, which were reformed after the Port Arthur massacre, you know, we still have vulnerabilities that we need to address. And, you know, obviously everyone's incredibly sad. I mean, I've been looking on social media today with my friendship network and the people I follow, and there is just an outpouring of grief for our Jewish friends. I think it's incredibly sad for them. I know people who were there, who were on the front line yesterday, one who was with one of the wives of someone who passed away. So just, it's incredibly sad, and I think there's a lot of disbelief because sometimes we do get a little bit complacent, I think, here. So it's a very, you know what, to sum it up, it's confusing and it's sad for everyone.
Indeed, of course, Anthony Albanese now is subject to criticism by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu says that Albanese didn't do enough to combat anti-Semitism in Australia. What are your thoughts on the statement from the Israeli Prime Minister there?
Look, I think that, there'll be inherently political arguments made around this. We saw the opposition leader say something very similar today as well. There was a review into anti-Semitism in Australia. It has been on the rise in recent years, and many people feel like this is the result of, or a culmination of years of this rise in anti-Semitism, and therefore are looking to the government to say, well, you're here to protect us, and you failed at that. And I think that that's a very valid criticism, and it's coming from a lot of people, not just Netanyahu, but the leader of the opposition here in Australia. It's coming from the general public as well. It's coming from the Jewish community. So I think that is a weak point for the Prime Minister at the moment, politically. So it'll be interesting to see what does happen. Look, there's going to be a cabinet meeting. My understanding now is that they're going to have a very, very quick, rapid look at gun laws in Australia. If you do remember back to the Port Arthur massacre, under John Howard's government, there was a huge amnesty of weapons in Australia and gun reform. That means that we do have shootings every now and then, right? Because you can own a gun, like the guys who committed this crime yesterday. They had a license and had 6 guns. So, but the point is that swift policy action. And I think that's something in Australia that we do quite well, and I think it's something we should be really proud of. So I think from that cabinet meeting, we're going to see some change. The question is, how quickly can they make that legislative change? So, this is going to be a very decisive political moment, and those responses are going to be absolutely essential for the Australian public today.
Erin, do we know anything about what went wrong in regards to security lapses? Of course, Bondi Beach, it's a huge tourist destination, and the fact that 2 individuals can get firearms somewhere like that with such a densely populated area, does that not tell us about some serious breaches in security when it comes to Sydney's, Australia's most populous city?
Look, it's a good question, and I think we'll learn a lot about that throughout the investigation that will take place. I think it's an interesting question because, one of the things about Australia is that, at the front of my house, I have one door and I walk out into the street. I have one lock on my door, just so everyone knows I've got one lock. We don't really have that sort of posture of security that you see in many other places in the world. So you can just walk down to Bondi Beach. There's not a lot of security in terms of screening or anything like that because of the gun reform that we had in the 1990s, that's something that, we've been able to have this freedom, right? And that's why this is so decisive, and it's such an important moment for Australia right now, because it has happened. And it has happened at, the fact that it happened at Bondi Beach says a lot as well, because what it means is not just attacking the Jewish Australians and the Jewish community, it's attacking Australian values, and part of that is our freedom that we have here and this way of life that we have. So that's as much under attack as well. And that's why you choose to do this at a place like Bondi Beach. You have a really big Jewish community around there, so they knew exactly what they were doing. It was really calculated in terms of who they were attacking and where they were attacking, and then what that would mean for Australia.
Erin Watson, pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for taking the time.